And a quorum is present, so I'll call to order this meeting of the Manchester by the Sea Conservation Commission under the auspices of the State Wetlands Protection Act and the General Wetlands Bylaw of Manchester. Our mission here is to protect the wetland resources and to serve our neighbors. Tonight, we will be meeting virtually in accordance with continuing rules and regs of the Commonwealth, which means that we'll do all our voting by roll call. It also means that we'll be recording not just audio as usual, but also video if your camera is turned on. And finally, when there is opportunity for public comment or question, I will let you know, and please indicate if you have a comment or question by raising your hand physically or digitally using the controls in Zoom. I think that's it, except that the chat function is only for technical issues, not actual questions or comments, because it does not become part of the permanent record. So let me call the roll. Dr. Olga Hayes.
Here.
Dr. Gordon Turner.
Here.
Dr. Henry Ottinger.
Here.
And I am Mr. Steve Gang. And that means a quorum is present. We also have our able administrator, Bethany Barstow. And we try to limit what she has to say tonight because she has very little voice. All right, let's begin by opening the public hearing. And unless there are any announcements from any commissioners, we'll start with the first notice of intent for 3 Eagle Head Road, Manchester, which is continued from our prior meeting, Mass DEP number 39-835, map 13, lot 37. It's a proposed addition, deck, and patio at a single-family home within the 100-foot buffer zone to Coastal Bank. And I believe...
Hello, everyone.
There he is. Welcome, Mike DeRosa.
Thank you, Mike DeRosa, DeRosa Environmental, representing the applicant. Since the last meeting, we had a site walk. Most of the commission was there, I think. And we went through the project. I can share my screen if you want. Oh, send request. I'm requesting. Thanks, Bethany. So we walked the site just to refresh everybody's memory. It's the addition here. So this addition, and then an elevated deck around, and then an elevated little bump out. All this is cantilevered, but for 1 or 2 posts, or maybe 5. I think there's 5 posts, Brian said, for that, but that's all above ground up at the first floor level. And then to mitigate for work in the no build zone, because some of this is all in the no build zone, but it's elevated and it's already previously disturbed underneath. And there's a little bit of the corner. We kept the addition as far back as we could from the resource area. And then we also have let's see if I can do this. I'm going to stop this. And then we have a mitigation area, which is down. You can zoom in. We wanted the mitigation area in the no disturbance zone so that we're protecting the resource area, which is the top of Coastal Bank. We have a dense planting here. We're going to keep a grass cut, just footpath down to some stairs here, and some stairs over here, which are carved into the ledge. So there'll be a footpath there and a footpath. And these are existing. We're just going to keep them. but converting the rest of the lawn under the pine trees to native plantings. And I think things went well at the hearing. We had to take out 6 trees, and we're replacing those with 6 trees here within the no-build zone, so they're close to the area where the trees were taken out. But I think that's all. If there's any questions, I can take questions from the commission.
Thank you, Mike. Questions or comments from the commission? I'm hearing none. How about from the public? Anybody have a question or comment on 3 Eagle Head Road? All right, commission ready to close this hearing?
Sure. And for the record, Steve, I think we're joined by Jeff Bodmer Turner.
Excellent. Welcome, Dr. Bodmer Turner. All right, I'll move that we close our hearing for 3 Eagle Head Road, Mass DEP 39-835.
I'll second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. All those in favor, Gordon,
Aye.
Olga,
Aye.
Henry,
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
I am an aye. It is unanimous. Thank you, Mike DeRosa.
Thank you.
Shall we, in our minds, look at the proposal? And should I share that, or do you have it handy, Bethany?
Just give me a second.
I think I have it right here. Somewhere. I have too many windows open. Oh, I know what it is. The youngest member of our visiting grandson invasion is watching Kung Fu Panda 2. Limiting my bandwidth severely.
That'll do it.
Don't you love Jack Black? Ooh. Yep, there it is. Thank you, Bethany. No, that's Irene Frontiero.
Hold on, I'm trying to figure it.
You just sent it in the recent email.
Let me kick you off here and share it. Did that come through?
Yes.
Good. Okay, so I jumped right to special conditions because unless anybody has a comment on the findings, resource areas affected, or standard conditions, this is sort of the meat of the matter. The first one reads mitigation planning shall be monitored for 2 growing seasons, guaranteeing at least a 85% survivorship. Plant monitoring reports will be submitted after the first growing season, again after the second growing season. I think we need to add 100% for the trees, as we typically do. Agree, disagree?
Yep.
Agree.
Okay. Otherwise, that is fine. And in case of a major storm event, the site shall be secured beforehand in such a way to protect the coastal bank. Yep, that makes perfect sense. And neither of those needs to be perpetual, so 29 can come out. Post-project is standard. And then we have perpetual conditions. First is 31 or 32, additional alteration prohibited. That's standard language. The next is providing any subsequent owner a letter to the Conservation Commission acknowledging that, or the new owner will provide a letter acknowledging understanding wetland restrictions. This one I'm not sure I had seen before. Do others have comments on it? And I would personally, I would think it's reserved for cases where there is a particular area being protected. Maybe that's the case here with the mitigation planning's right above the coastal bank. What do others think?
You're talking about 32, right, Steve?
Yes, as it's numbered here, 32.
So my question would be, is there a downside to having a new owner? It seems to be for the new owner to report that they've understood the conditions. Is there any downside to that? And if not,
No, I don't think so. And you're right, Henry. It's the unusual circumstance where they postpone getting a certificate of compliance until they plan to sell the property, which comes up from time to time.
Yeah,
That's
I would
kind of
In that case, it could be many years after the issuance of the order.
My only question about that, Steve, is what if the new owner is not informed that there are these conditions?
Yes, which has also happened.
That certainly has. I'm thinking about one property over on Pine Street that we've,
Yep. We've had it on Vine as well with
Yep.
complicated CRs and other things.
Steve, I guess
Yeah, I guess with Gordon.
I
go
find the
ahead.
wording of it a little confusing. I'm not objecting to the concept, but prior to issuance of a certificate of compliance and upon the sale of a property is what's confusing me.
Yeah, I think what it wants to say as a lawyer is if a sale of the property is planned before a certificate of compliance is issued, then
Right.
the owner should have a duty to notify the new owner. The current
Mhm.
owner should have a duty to
Yeah.
notify the new owner,
Yeah.
and the new owner should have a duty to us.
I see. So,
That would really, as they say, put belt and suspenders on it. And as Henry said, there's no reason not to do that. We still face the fact that as time passes and realtors get involved, the notification may slip.
I mean, it's not a bad thing to have people who are near wetlands notify the new owners in general. So, I mean, is this dependent upon the certificate of compliance or not? I mean, can this be it says a perpetual condition. Can you just strike that first part and just say upon the sale of a property, the new owner should provide a letter acknowledging the wetland restrictions?
yeah, any wetland restrictions bound to the property.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
I think it should be submitted by the existing owner and countersigned by the new owner.
Yeah, that kind of gets where I wanted to go too. Make it a duty of the existing owner because it's
Sure.
her or
Yeah.
his responsibility in the first place. But that includes notifying the new owner.
Mm-hmm.
Because the existing owner is transferring the responsibility for the perpetual conditions.
Right.
Yeah, and just strike the bit about certificate of compliance because
Right. Upon any sale of the property to subsequent owners, the current owner shall notify the new owner of wetland restrictions and perpetual conditions. I think that's what is meant here.
I'm
And-
not.
but having some requirement to notify us that this has been done.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah.
and provide a letter signed by both parties to the MCC.
Yeah.
acknowledging that.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm not so
Bethany, I'm
sure,
not sure you,
Steve,
go ahead, Jeff.
I'm sorry, I'm not so sure that I would strike the idea of the issuance of a certificate of compliance. That I think the existing owner should inform the new owner of any outstanding certificate of compliance and the perpetual conditions that go with the conservation.
That would capture it, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
Because-
you know,
because-
legally, you're not supposed to be able to register the deed until the order of conditions is cleared by a certificate of compliance, but we know that either sometimes that's ignored and other times the parties have a side agreement that says we're not going to enforce this. Which is great for them, but it's not so good for the wetland resource. So let's see if we can get all of that in. The key thing is that upon the sale of the property, that the current owner will inform the new owner and provide us with a letter acknowledging wetlands restrictions and perpetual conditions and any outstanding orders
Yeah,
signed by
just
both
lump,
parties.
right, lump the outstanding orders of conditions into
Yep.
the three things being notified.
Yeah, because we're not changing the requirement that the existing requirement is that a certificate of compliance be obtained, I think, within 3 years of the order being issued. And that should remain.
Everyone is frozen right now, sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, I've got that language long enough so that I can read it back for the vote. Then you've struck the next two and gone with the fertilizer restriction and pesticide and herbicide restriction and the de-icing chemicals to the minimum required restriction. Do we need any monumenting in this case? It's a fairly significant patch of mitigation ground. I forget what it looks like. Mike, is it an area that might absentmindedly be mowed?
I think
Or would
just
it-
as a practical and as a standard practice, I think it would be good to have monumentation just really for future owners more than the current owners, just so it's there and there's no question about it.
Agreed.
It's like taking that letter and setting it in stone.
Exactly.
Very good. Yes, let's do that. So that'll go in as another condition. And do we need both number
Well,
31
131
prohibiting
would do it.
additional alteration? Yeah, we don't need 36. And are we missing any?
We've got two number 31s. One is on the introduction.
Right. And we've got an extra one up here that we don't need, 29.
That's
So maybe
pretty
it'll all work
stricken.
out. Yeah.
That's stricken.
If we strike that one, then this one becomes 29, this becomes 30, and then we're good to go after that. All right, does everyone on the commission have a good sense of what we're voting on here?
Yes.
I can barely hear you, Steve, if you can speak up a little more, thank you.
You'd like me to speak up?
I think we can hear him pretty well, Bethany. I don't know. Can you hear me
It
okay?
might be
It
my
may be-
sinus infection, honest.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, you said we were frozen a moment ago, but I didn't see that, so it's probably your end. So what we've added is the survivability of trees under special conditions. We've knocked out that number 29. We've significantly changed 32 so that it would work upon any sale of the property, and it would have 3 requirements. Well, it's 4 actually. The owner has to notify the new owner and then has to provide a letter signed by both parties to us that acknowledges wetlands restrictions, perpetual conditions, and any outstanding orders of condition. And
And the
36 is,
monuments.
yeah, instead of 36, or in addition
You
to
want me to
what's
get
in there.
rid of 36?
We're having a little trouble hearing you, Bethany. There's echoes and, yep, that's a good one.
Is it better now?
Yes, that's much better.
Bethany, I think they
Um,
struck 31 because 36
Okay.
existed.
I did. I crossed it out.
Okay. So keep
And
36.
32, I'm a little confused on what you guys want me to add there a little bit.
Let me send you the language that we just put into our motion
Okay.
with everybody's consent, not to have it written on this shared document yet. And to 36, you could add the monumentation, suitable monumentation, permanent monumentation of the restoration and mitigation area.
Having serious technical, I don't know.
Yes, I understand.
So as part of
See if I could just-
36, Bethany? Yeah. How would you phrase that, Steve? Do we have,
So rarely use this to, I would phrase it as,
I think 36 is fine. It just lets them maintain the mitigation area, right? Is that the intent?
Mhm.
I think he
Yeah,
was
there's no harm
suggesting
in
to
it.
add the monuments to that part, but maybe just make a separate one for monuments?
Yeah, monuments should be separate, yeah.
Okay.
I'll add it to 30. Is there a specific language you would like me to use?
Yep, I'm getting there. What do we call this area? Wet, conserved wetland or something? No mowing?
Is it gonna be a no or low mow area? Or is it fully mowed?
What is your, what's your planting plan in that area? Does it include fescues and,
There'll be maintenance. I mean, there's gonna be maintaining the footpath, but it's really essentially the no disturbance zone. And that's what we'll monument.
something like that? Okay, while I'm on this run, I'll just put this here.
Oh, this really slow.
You maybe something along the lines of but for walkways
Sorry, all I'm hearing is echo. Bethany, could you mute, please? Thanks. Go ahead, Henry.
Yeah, I was just thinking about something along the lines of, but for maintenance of walkways. All areas within the no disturb zone. Are we say shall be monumented, or do we add specifically the not disturbed in other ways, or not mowed, or losing track of where we're heading with this?
Yeah, I mean, what I was aiming for was mowing only the path. Grass path.
If I could jump
must
in,
be-
I would just
Yes,
say,
please.
you know, the boundary of the no disturbance zone would be monumented, you know, but appropriately or accordingly. I can get you some language from other towns it's pretty standard condition.
Yeah, we have some,
Yeah.
and you're right, I shouldn't try to write what's on the monument.
Yeah. But I wouldn't get involved with the maintenance of walkways or anything. It's just, you're just gonna monument that no disturbance zone.
Sorry about that.
Okay, so back to this one. Upon the sale of the property to subsequent owners, the new shall inform of any existing orders of condition and shall provide a letter to the MPC signed by both parties acknowledging
Shall be represented.
the wetlands restrictions, actual conditions, and outstanding orders. Sorry for my wonky typing. So we don't need this.
Yeah, I think we see Bethany's screen, but you're also editing at the same time. Is that?
Oh
or
dear,
touching your screen?
so you're not seeing what I'm doing?
I don't know, actually, maybe I am. Okay, yeah. Sorry.
Okay, it reads, upon the sale of the property to subsequent owners, the new owner, the existing owner shall inform of any existing orders of conditions and shall provide a letter to the MCC signed by both parties acknowledging the wetland restrictions, perpetual conditions, and outstanding orders relating to this property. This shall be ongoing conditions to be recorded in the deed and on subsequent deeds.
Okay.
Okay. So let me move that we grant an order of conditions for 3 Eagle Head, Mass DEP 39-835, with the general, special, and perpetual conditions just drafted.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Henry?
Aye.
Olga?
Hi, but hang on a minute, did we add the monument somewhere?
I added it to my screen.
Their suitable permanent monuments will be
Okay, A,
Mark the boundary.
I,
Good catch. Thank you. Gordon,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
and I am an I as well. Thank you, one and all. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. Next is a request for a certificate of compliance. Let's take up the other two OCs first, get those out of the way, all the heavy lifting. Bethany, do you have those at your fingertips for the pond and the culvert? If not, I will look for them.
again, Steve, Bethany just sent it in her latest email.
Yeah. Okay, so while I'm putting those up on the screen, does anyone have a oh, there we go, a comment.
I did. I don't know why.
Bethany, do you have two Zoom names, the Manchester one and your own now?
Yes, because
Because that's
one,
generally what
I
that's generally
can't,
what
yeah,
creates
one
feedback and echoes.
laptop, I can't hear, like my sound isn't working, but one
Uh-huh.
is like less frozen, so I'm trying to like figure it out.
Okay,
But
yeah, I
my
hope you can.
volume should be better now.
Good. Yeah, we can hear you, and that having two open usually makes it likely there'll be echoes and feedback. All right, which one is this?
But here it is. Here is the 20 pond order of
Mhm.
conditions.
Can we
Yeah,
jump to
gonna
the
scroll.
special conditions, please?
Is this the replacement of the tide gate or is this the
This is
Limit.
the
This is the one for, this is the pond, the living shoreline.
okay?
I'm at the special conditions. Before you close this, before you close the hearing, Dan, like, not Dan, sorry, Nate mentioned to me that there were some conditions that were in the old one that weren't feasible for the new application. So I try to tweak it around a little bit so project could be feasible for them.
Can you
Like he
point those out
said.
to us?
Hmm?
Could you
He
point
He
those
spoke
out
to
to us?
me. He spoke to me in person before. Um, like even this what was it? Even before they even submitted a project, and then he wrote in Word like today, like at 10, a Word document of some conditions that aren't feasible for them. Like he said
I understand.
about,
Can you point to them for us?
yes, just give me a second while I open my email. Mhm. So, if we go over to condition 12, C, before in like the 2020 version, it stated an apex jam structure is similar to the bake jam structure. He's like, and he said a series of details and notes are included in the 2025 application plan set on sheet P507. Manchester DPW and the applicant team can deliver a monitoring plan for living shoreline structures. The applicant is the town of Manchester, and the town will be responsible for cleaning debris in Central Pond. However, not all woody debris needs to be cleaned. We recommend revising the condition, and then he provided me a recommendation similar to this one.
You're referring to 12C?
No, it must be D,
Yeah.
coffer dam. It refers to
Coffer
coffer dams,
dams,
not
yeah.
monitoring of shoreline.
Mhm.
Steve, this isn't sitting that well with me to come with a change like this after this has been
After the
3
hearing's
years in the
closed.
making.
Yeah,
And
I,
Nate of all people is aware of that.
Yeah.
and we would certainly want to hear his argument in favor of the changes.
Yeah, I would prefer to continue and read that email and kind of
Yeah,
digest
he
it.
forwarded to you today. He sent it to me very last minute.
Yeah, I
So-
don't know, it's not your fault, Bethany, it's Nate's responsibility, but I'm not comfortable voting on this without seeing the proposed changes.
Where does that leave us with 21 days since we closed the hearing?
I
This is,
requested a waiver from Nate to extend the 21 days. And he's like, that's fine, no problem.
In writing?
Yes. Yeah, he emailed me all these like changes from the old one. So I can send later the old one and the new one so you can like see the changes, quote unquote, and see for yourself. It was very last minute. I was just trying to get all these in for y'all.
Yeah, understood. Did he do the same with the other
Yes.
order? Okay,
Yes. By saying about the coffer dams, especially specifically, and about how the limit of work will be like can't be away from the 100-foot buffer line because everything is like to get like too close to it. I'll forward everything today. It was very last minute he sent me this. I said I will try to include the comments, and I did, but I'll send an email. It was very last minute today.
okay.
Can I make a suggestion
Yes.
Go ahead, Jeff.
that we require Nate and or Chuck's presence at the next meeting?
Yeah, I'll tell him that.
Because this is like flying way below the radar.
Yep, agreed. It would also be useful when you send us what Nate sent you to send us the original OCs. Do we have those digitally?
Yes, I do. They're in like my files. I can send them that so you can do kind of like a compare.
Thanks. What he wanted changed.
Yes, I can send that. I was just trying to get everything
You
done.
can tell him that, this is not a reflection on we're not disagreeing with him on the substance because we don't understand what the changes are. We're disagreeing on the last minuteness of it.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. I will
Okay,
let
so
him
I
know.
move that we continue this vote on the orders of conditions for both of these 39-934 and 39-932 to our next meeting, which will be July 22.
I'll second that.
Mhm.
All those in favor, Henry,
Aye.
Gordon,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Olga,
Hi.
and I am an aye. Okay. So much for heavy lifting. Now we have a request for certificate of compliance from 20 Ocean Street, DEP file 39-787, map 6, lot 53, Terry Lee Carabillo, proposed construction of a garage addition to a single-family home.
And for the record, Mike DeRosa, DeRosa Environmental.
Fine.
At the,
Thank you, Mike.
ready?
Ready.
Ready. So at the last meeting, we wanted to continue to, or the commission requested that we continue until Bethany went out and I went out to do a site walk, which we did. And then at the site walk, we determined that we needed to get some more seed down. And so that was done. I sent Ike out that day and Terry Lee did all the seeding and the hay mulching. These were pictures taken yesterday. So the red fescue is really coming in strong. The hay-scented ferns are all there. We have lots of other pictures of the other plantings that were in place that were all doing well. And Bethany can speak to the site walk too, but these are two recent photos which show the stabilization of that slope, which was the outstanding issue. So we think this has been addressed and Terry's been working really hard to get this done. And we hope the commission will agree to issue a full and final certificate of compliance.
Bethany, is this stable and likely to thrive in your opinion?
Yes, I went out there like a week or two ago. And she was like right on it. Like I literally saw her actively raking and like getting prepared to put the seed down. It seems very stable now that the red fescue is down there. And yeah, it seemed like pretty straightforward to me.
Good. Questions or comments from commissioners?
Yeah, Steve, I do have a question for Bethany because in our previous discussion, I guess it was noted that there was some pavement done that wasn't as part of the original plan, and you were going to be kind of looking at that to see its proximity to the wetlands and whether there was any concern about that. Were you suitably
Mike, can you
satisfied?
put up the pictures again? Do you have
Yeah.
them?
I can throw the ones up for the, let's see. For 20 Ocean, let me do that. These are the older photos that show the driveway. This was the slope that
Oh,
you
that's
just
the
saw.
picture you just
Yeah,
showed us.
that is now
Okay.
vegetated and stable.
Okay.
And then this is the pavement that happened and it really, the runoff is coming off, as you can see from the staining into the other part of the gravel driveway.
Yeah.
Now that this is coming in thick, it's really gonna filter anything that comes off the side. So we feel good that this is, and it's gonna be easily maintained in the winter. So we're not gonna be cleaning up gravel every year.
Mhm.
Yes, like where you see where Mike has his cursor, like all this like gravel on the side of the pavement is now the vegetated red fescue. And I did see how the pavement was a little more than the plan itself, but I seemed with the vegetated like on the sides, it seemed stable to me.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Others? All right, ready to vote? May I hear a motion?
Sure. I'll move that let's see, where are we? Are we at?
To the ocean.
We're at 20 Ocean. Um, Move to issue a completed certificate of compliance for Mass DEP 39078720 Ocean Street.
Second,
All those in favor, Gordon?
Aye.
Jeff? Jeff?
Yeah,
Rose? Henry?
Henry's and I.
Olga's and I.
Jeff, you,
I'm a little bit on the fence on this because it's all of that planting just went in the past month. And we usually ask that it's established over a longer period of time. So I say no.
all right. And I'll be an aye, so it is 4 in favor, 1 opposed. It's passed. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Mhm.
Happy 4th.
Happy 4th.
We have one more request for a compliance certificate from 371 Summer Street,
Mhm.
Mass DEP 39-867, map 6, lot 55. Jim O'Neill, the contractor. The project was demolition and then rebuilding of a single-family dwelling within the 100-foot buffer to BVW and an intermittent stream. And Caitlin, are you here for this tonight?
Caitlin White. I'm a wetland scientist from Hancock Associates. We're here in request of a partial certificate of compliance because this site does have mitigation plantings that have a 2-year monitoring period. With the application, we did submit the first season's report that showed that the plantings were doing well. I can share my screen so I can go over the project if you'd like.
Please.
Can everyone see the plans?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So this is 371 Summer Street. The original order of conditions was issued on February 1st, 2022. Then it was amended 2 years later on February 29th, 2024. Like Steve mentioned, the scope of work was a tear down rebuild of a dwelling, as well as a pool and patio behind the home. This driveway area and then irrigation system. In as-built conditions, the only deviations were that the pool and patio behind the home were not constructed, and the driveway is a pea stone rather than a paver driveway. Like I mentioned, the mitigation plantings back here are doing well. They have new growth and they're healthy from what I've seen. I've been on site several times. The site is stable. Everything's grass, vegetated, and all of the construction was completed besides those slight deviations, which they don't affect the drainage patterns or anything like that. So we don't find them as a concern from an engineering perspective. But so this would be a partial certificate of compliance contingent on the second growing season going well for the mitigation plantings.
All right.
Let me know if you have any
Thank you.
questions.
Any questions or comments from the commission?
You did have some photos in there of the current conditions?
These are the plantings.
Okay.
Yeah. This one, you can see the constructed home.
Let me see.
Mhm.
All right, thank you.
Caitlin, what's the effect of not having the irrigation pump in yet?
From what the engineer told me, minimal. I can definitely check in with him and I can get you a more straightforward, thorough answer, but it didn't seem to be a concern to the engineer for the project.
I understand the tank is installed to catch
Yes.
roof runoff. So is there a plan to provided an irrigation system?
I think the homeowner is on the call. Henry, if you could speak to that.
My understanding is it was to be delivered shortly.
Ah, okay. Predictable supply chain problem, no doubt.
Yes.
Sorry.
So-
That was my only question. Anybody
a-
else on the commission?
Yeah, so I guess I'm just trying to understand. So that's a pump that would be inserted into that tank that's there. The irrigation system is already in place. There's no need to dig up the lawn or anything at this point. All that kind of disruptive work is done.
All that has taken place. Yes.
Okay.
And you want a partial certificate?
Yes. That's what we're looking for tonight. Yep.
Well, if there are no other questions, I'll move that we issue a partial certificate of compliance for 371 Summer Street, DEP file 39-867 for all elements in the project, except the survivorship of mitigation plantings.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All those in favor? Jeff,
Aye.
Gordon,
Aye.
Olga,
I,
Henry,
Aye.
and I'll join you. It's unanimous. Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you
Mr.
guys so much for your
Parkman.
time. Have a good night.
You as well.
You too. Now we turn to other business, I think, new and other business. And on our agenda are three things. MACC dues, a discussion of the funding from CPC for the Western Woods, and a vote to reorganize roles. So I'm kind of familiar with the first one, but not the second two, I'm sorry to say. MACC dues are annual as expected, right, Bethany?
Yes, it's 600. Wasn't able to scan it today. I was getting exhausted going down the stairs and up again. But it's a 650, which is the usual to be expected amount for all of you and me.
I'll move we authorize expenditure of $650 for the Mass Association of Conservation Commissioners dues for all of us, including staff.
Second.
Second? Thank you. All in favor? Olga,
I,
Gordon,
Aye.
Henry,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
and it's unanimous. I am an aye. Next is discussion of CPC funding for the Western Woods.
Mark was supposed to be here, but he has COVID. So probably
Mm,
what I don't even know. Don't say I have it
He-
'cause I don't know.
He did send me an email. I hope you
Yeah.
don't. He sent me an email that said that Jack Burke was hoping, I think, that we would be able to spend the $20,000 that was allocated some years ago to us for Western Woods improvement. And Mark said, what comes to his mind is possibly providing some signage and parking at the end of Crooked Lane, or doing some improvement of the fire road going up from Crooked Lane, which is really eroded, or doing something to mark an entrance at the other end behind Brookwood or some other public road, or conceivably Highland, which is a private road, where there is a trailhead. Thoughts about that? I mean, we don't want to rush to spend this money, but those are
Yeah,
reasonable suggestions.
just a discussion right now.
I know Jeff has mentioned the fire road restoration in the past, and I think that's a worthwhile project. I don't recall all the nuances of what we were waiting for. I think there were a couple of moving parts with funding regionally or something
The
like
issue,
that.
Chuck and I went out and walked that. And there's a brook that runs right down that trail.
Okay,
And has eroded it heavily.
yeah,
There are other issues in terms of the development that's up the hill from the trail as you're entering on the right-hand side. Chuck's estimate was probably $50,000 in engineering studies
oh,
to
wow,
address the issues
before any work is done even.
before any work is
Yeah.
done. And I don't think CPC covers engineering studies for a project like that. I'm not sure, but I don't think that they do.
At the time, had you been in discussion with like some regional firefighting funding or something like that, or?
I
or
had
what
a
the-
conversation with the fire chief
Okay,
about it, and he was waiting on some funding for woods, a whole set of trainings that they're trying to do on taking care of fires in the woods.
mhm,
And he thought that that he might be able to get some money for repairing that road so that the vehicles that they have can get in there. Right now, it's not really passable for any vehicles. So that was about a year and a half ago, I
Mm.
think, a year ago anyway. And I haven't heard back anything from the fire chief about that regional funding. I can follow up with him on it,
Yeah.
but we're talking really big bucks to fix this.
mhm.
Right.
Um,
It might even be more than 20,000.
well, a lot more than
Yes.
20,000.
Lot
Yeah.
more.
And
Yeah.
and that it would require channeling the brook to one side of the trail or the other,
Yeah.
or where it crosses the trail, and it does, to
Culverting.
introduce a culvert under the trail.
And Jeff, didn't Chuck identify some drainage structures up there as
Yes,
well?
we walked up into the wooded area to the right of the trail going in, and discovered that there were drains there that he hadn't seen on any DPW maps. And he thinks that they were put in when the subdivision was put in
Mhm.
just to the north of the trail.
So how about some, since 20,000 isn't gonna work for this, what about the Pine Street entrance for creating a trailhead there?
I mean, just south of 128?
Yeah,
Hmm.
actually, Steve and I both got, an email from Terry Cowman. And because we're on the Open Space Committee, and MECT had all kinds of different ideas about possibilities for access to the Western Woods over by Brookwood, Highland Ave, Pine Street. So it seems like with 20,000, the only feasible thing we have is possibly developing that Pine Street trailhead, but I haven't really walked it, so Steve, did you walk it?
Yeah, I have. It's favored by mountain bikers because it starts out very steep, goes basically up a drainage swale. It's
I
the
think
path
I
they take.
walked actually there. Yeah.
Sorry.
I walked there actually. Because isn't
Right.
there a beaver site?
No,
Alright, yeah.
I know.
not that I'm aware of.
You might be thinking of Doug Hill,
Mm.
the other side of Pine Street,
Oh, okay.
has a beaver kind of Beaver Nirvana area
Yeah.
where MECT wants to rebuild a stream crossing. No, that's actually a pretty good idea.
I could follow
No,
up
because
with
it-
Terry. We were out in the woods on the Homestead Trail last Thursday, relocating a section of trail that passed right close to the wetland and moving it upland by about 40 feet with a group of people from MECT and First Parish Church. And he was talking about them wanting to do something with Pine Street, the Pine Street entrance to the woods. I'm not sure if I assume that that's going on to MECT land
No, it's town property.
next to the
MECT
road.
It would end up crossing MECT property. They own the frontage north of 128. Town owns the frontage south, I
Okay,
believe. But it could use better parking, definitely better signage, and there's probably some trail improvements so you don't have to walk up that really, really steep.
you're talking about
incline.
the town entrance, the south side of 128 entrance, Steve?
Yeah.
What's it like getting in on the north side? I'm not familiar with that.
It's the north side is really rocky and cliffy, and basically you get there by going in a half mile up Pine Street and walking the trail system. I don't think anybody, well, mountain bikers probably exit there because it could be thrilling, but I haven't seen anybody hike in there.
So what do we want to do?
Well, this has been a good discussion. I think we want to maybe individually, if the opportunity arises, take a look at the access just south of 128 on the left side of Pine as you're heading toward 128. And maybe look at the GIS map, and we can bring this up next time hopefully with a fully recovered Mark Resnick.
Okay.
Good. The last was a vote to reorganize roles.
What is that about?
I don't know.
Well,
Tell us.
Sari, need a vice chair.
Yes, we have no vice chair, but we don't need to reorganize. We just need to elect a vice chair, right? I hope.
Yes, well, elect, that's what I meant.
Okay.
Isn't
We do
Henry,
have some,
isn't Henry playing the role of vice chair? So is it just to formalize it?
yeah, I for one have been
Yes.
hoping Henry would play that role. I don't know about others. Henry
Fully
seems,
supportive.
Fine with me.
yeah, good. If there is no
I'm going to
objection,
quote you on that.
Yeah, well, careful what you wish for.
exactly. There are a couple of committee appointments. The easy one is open space and rec, which I am happy to continue in unless somebody wants to replace me. The more complicated one is a brand new committee called Facilities Planning Committee,
Yes, that's
set
Alice.
up by the select board to make that process more accountable and maybe higher quality. And they want a Concom member along with, I think, ZBA and ZBA Planning and Finance, something like that.
When is that getting up and running?
I don't know exactly, but my sense was soon. So probably kick off in July, get itself organized and
ASAP. That's what they
ASAP.
said, ASAP.
That would be July.
Right, but this is summertime. ASAP happens to slow down.
Yeah,
The planning board is gonna discuss this July 14th, so after that at least.
I want to nominate Jeff Bodmer Turner for that role. I think, Jeff, you have experience on some of the boards that are connected to that. Is that right?
I have experience with the select board only.
Okay.
Uh,
Is it something
I'm-
you're interested
I'm-
in doing?
Yeah, well, my only hesitation is the surgery that I have coming up. And how long I'm gonna be
Okay.
knocked out by that. That's why I was asking, when is this gonna start?
Yeah.
Um,
All right, what if I offered to sit in, if you miss anything, I'll sit in and provide you notes till you're all mended up.
It's a pretty good offer.
nice one, Henry.
That's a good offer, is right.
I'll take it.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. We may also have a good ringer joining us. Jim Hoffman is a real estate guy, so might have some skills for this, but he's not officially a member. Won't be until after next Monday's interview with Select Board, assuming that goes well.
It's totally not fair to volunteer him ahead of time.
No, I did kind of run it up the flagpole with him, and he said, well, that is my background, but you know, I don't really know much about conservation yet. I said,
So he has
"Right."
to learn that.
Yeah, so the
I'll
job is
pass
to
it off to
represent,
him in a year.
right, the job is to represent the Concom on this. The final one is that Brian Solacey has requested that a few people join him in the next round of discussions with Gordon College and a specific developer called Jefferson Apartment Group. Which is a
Seriously? He's
small,
letting people in?
yeah, he's letting people in. I think there was a course correction of some kind applied to him. And
Okay.
so he's asked Muffin Driscoll on behalf of the Affordable Housing Trust, John Round on behalf of the Select Board, and me on behalf of the Concom to have some discussions with him next month. And it might turn into a 6-month effort. It might just be kind of a kitchen cabinet, who knows, but he's cautioned me about raising any expectations in the Conservation Commission, so keep your expectations low. I have no
Any
idea.
expectations of what?
That's the point.
Any expectations that we could have some influence over what kind of development might happen there?
Yeah, that we could protect the watershed and the wetland resources, which are considerable on that property, and still, you know, realize some increase in housing units, particularly affordable housing units, gratification of Gordon College's desire to monetize that property, etc. Yes, I agree completely. Look at that. Is that the old one or the new one?
That's the old one, and the new one was just getting all accommodated because we've had her 2 weeks. And now she's hiding because of the invasion of all these giants.
Yeah, those kids, yeah, people.
So she's hiding again.
Okay.
That's the old one.
We also have a final site plan, I guess is the thing to call it, for the De Normandy Woods, which I will circulate around, and we can,
I think he just sent
we
that
may,
today.
pardon?
I think he just sent that today.
Yeah, I'm not sure it requires another vote, but we do need to, and we have signed the CR. But we need to look at it and make sure there's nothing, no surprises in it.
Okay.
I did walk part of that with Chris Lapointe and some other folks 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago now. And you know, they plan to have a fairly gentle touch. They've already put up a little signage. They've DPW, and they have improved the parking area in one of the turnouts on Colburn Road. And the most ambitious thing they may do is a little vista pruning so that the hillside can actually once again allow you to see the ocean, which is probably nice and probably outside our jurisdiction, but we'll see.
Mhm.
Anything else? It is 7:39,
Can
respectable time for.
I ask a question? what, if anything, are we doing? Are we just waiting for our next meeting to discuss further what's gonna happen with that CPC money?
Yes. I think I would like to hear like maybe like research more about it and maybe have recovered Mark come join us to explain what he sees with that CPC funding.
Yep,
Yeah. So just to the July 22nd meeting, yes.
But between now and then, is there anything that we need to do?
No, maybe brainstorm ideas.
Is, can you clarify, this is
That's-
funding that we need to dispense with? So we would need
Yes.
ultimately some kind of a proposal, with
Mhm.
budget and everything, right,
Yep.
at some point.
Yeah, and as
We need to
Jeff,
So we're just
figure out
starting the
how to spend
process.
$20,000.
What's that?
as Jeff
Olga?
said
We need
earlier,
to-
it'd be great if we could spend the money on accomplishing something and
Right.
not just
Yeah.
on some planning effort,
Yeah,
Yep,
which sounds to me like a trailhead and maybe a little improvement of parking.
okay.
Probably
Mhm.
nothing else.
yep.
Does that answer your question, Jeff?
Yes,
Okay.
Sorry, everyone. I feel really ill. I'm trying my best today.
Sorry, you don't feel well.
Well, we may
Well,
be about to,
The
I'll
we may be
chaos.
about to let you off the hook.
I'll move that we adjourn.
second,
Are there any objections? No? Okay. Happy 4th of July. See you at the parade.
And get
Sounds
better.
good.
Thank
Thanks,
Yeah,
you.
feel
everyone.
better. No COVID.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
bye.